Welcome back. We're doing this again. Episode 2 of No Holds Barred. And to clear the air, it's the official podcast of my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel, the main Mark Murph. But also, Y2 Jane is back for another installment of the podcast. Today we're going to be talking about all things WWE Chicago related, because this week, tomorrow night actually, we got 2 events happening. We got NXT Takeover Chicago.
Actually, it's NXT
and Money in the Bank.
Takeover Chicago 2. Sweet!
Gotta love them Chicago marks. But anyway, we got that and Money in the Bank. It's a packed weekend at the Allstate Arena. But first, we're going to start off with a news segment we like to call News of the Week. This week's edition of News of the Week involves the new news of Canada, the United States, and Mexico. We're going to talk about something other than wrestling for a second. Hosting the 2026 World Cup. I'm just going to let TJ give his thoughts quickly, then I'm going to give my thoughts, and we're going to get into the wrestling.
Well, I'm pretty happy about it because what maybe perhaps people didn't know, but I was following the bid for a long time, for a lot of years actually, because I mean, those bids they last about 8 years before they're actually decided upon. So I'm pretty happy. I mean, some people are kind of sad that Canada's only getting the quarterfinals and anything after semifinals is all in the States. But you know what? This is a good step in. This is a step in the right direction, because now that we're going to be hosting some games, is going to give us a chance to host it by ourselves sometime in the future. It wouldn't have happened anytime soon, so at least this sets up the groundwork for it. So I'm happy about it, and like Griff has talked about it on Twitter, we're going to be trying to go to every game possible in Toronto. We may even, I'm even down to go to Montreal for a game. And I don't know about Edmonton. I mean, that's pretty far, because Edmonton's the third city that's hosting it.
There's also not a lot to do in Edmonton, even though they do have probably the best stadium equipped by FIFA standards for it, which came as a shock to me, but they put a lot of money into Commonwealth Stadium repairing it. BMO Field's going to have to expand even after they underwent a huge renovation that completed 2 years ago. And Montreal's a whole other story I don't want to get into right now. Well,
with the BMO Field, they're going to be going up from 30,000 to 45,000 to expand the stadium. And what I really like about that is that it's going to be almost as big as the Rogers Centre. So we're going to have basically 2 Rogers Centre type stadiums in Toronto after that. And Edmonton, I wasn't too surprised, because I have known for a long time that their stadium is, I believe it was the largest until BC Place in Vancouver expanded and took over in capacity. But yeah, Commonwealth Stadium is a big stadium, and it does meet the FIFA standard, so it makes sense. Vancouver apparently for now has voluntarily pulled out. We don't know the full story, but we'll get to that later on sometime in the coming weeks.
And even we're not going to get into the American cities, because I just remember the big ones that have it, like New York, Dallas, I don't think Miami's got one, Orlando.
Yeah, Miami's in the running right now.
Dallas, LA, Vegas apparently, the San Francisco Bay Area.
Cleveland,
Boston, Philadelphia, Washington. And then you also got Monterrey, Guadalajara, and Mexico City with the Estadio Azteca, which hosts the NFL Mexican games every single year.
I believe that's 80,000, right?
It's close. I think it's somewhere between 65 to 80. I know it's a bit of a stretch, but that's what I think.
It's their biggest stadium, I know that.
Yeah,
in Mexico City,
all the Mexican friendly games that are Mexican national team games that are played at the Azteca. That's what I know. And also home to Club America of the Liga MX.
It's kind of crazy because Mexico City has 25 million people, something like that. It's almost as much as Canada.
Yeah, it's crazy, but you know what? 8 years away. We can't wait for it. Hopefully, we're still kicking around by then. Hopefully, we can get media credentials into the World Cup too. Not have to pay. Get a little credit. Chingle, chingle.
But putting that aside, we're actually going to be starting off with NXT Takeover Chicago 2, like we mentioned, and so Griff. You want to start with Shayna Baszler versus Nikki Cross? For the
sure.
NXT Women's Championship.
I don't have a whole much to say about this, just because usually with the Chicago shows, they're not the best in the world, quote unquote. That's an unintentional pun. But with the NXT Chicago shows, even last year's, there wasn't a match that really stuck out to me. This year, though, you do have 2 matches that stick out to you. But this one, for me, honestly, Shayna Baszler versus Nikki Cross, I feel like they could give it to Nikki, they do have a plan for her. That's why they didn't call her up with Sanity, even though Sanity hasn't done anything in 2 months. But I feel like this for her could be a potential big break. But I do see the match ending in a Shayna DQ or it's count out. I can't see this ending in a clean finish, to be honest. Just because I see both of them. Nikki's crazy. Shayna's just an insane badass.
Yeah.
So it's a mix of both things, but I see Shayna retaining and facing someone else at Takeover Brooklyn 4.
Yeah, so this match, I mean, I do like Nikki Cross a lot. I've liked her basically since day one, so I'm pretty happy to see her. And a lot of people were complaining that she didn't go up to the main roster, but I knew right away the reason for that was, okay, they're probably going to do something with her in NXT, and I'm one of those people who believes that they don't have to keep calling too many people up every year, so I'm glad that she's staying down there. With that being said, I do kind of want, with the NXT title reigns, I do want them to last a long time. That's one of the things that gave them a lot of credibility, is that the championship reigns, usually they do last a long time. I know sometimes they hot potato the title between Shinsuke and Joe and Bobby Roode, but putting that aside, I feel like Shayna's going to win, and I'm going to go out and say that she's probably going to either pin. I think she's going to pin Nikki Cross, because with NXT, I've noticed, even when they want to protect someone, they will still somehow do a clean finish where the credible opponent still loses clean but doesn't look too bad. So I think they're going to probably have Shayna Baszler beat Nikki Cross via pinfall instead of a submission.
I feel like it's kind of the same way like how Ember lost her title in New Orleans was. It was actually Ember losing her title in New Orleans and Bayley losing it in Dallas for the exact same finishes, except I don't remember what move did she, I think it was both sleepers, but then I remember Bayley passed out, and I'm pretty sure Ember did the same thing.
Asuka had her in like a chicken wing type. It wasn't exactly Dosclock, was it?
I don't remember that well. It was a long time ago, and I haven't watched the match in a while.
The Asuka lock is kind of like the chicken wing sort of chokehold.
Except she's not a senile old man. Anyway, moving on to the next match where we have the Undisputed Era, which will be, this time we do know for sure who's going to be fighting, unlike the Dusty Rhodes Classic. We're going to have Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong, because Bobby Fish is still going to be on the shelf probably till after Brooklyn, facing Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. Honestly, I'm just going to say this right away. They could literally shock the system. And again, I'm throwing out puns like they're candy. But I just see the Undisputed Era, WWE really getting behind them, really supporting them, because, for example, Roderick Strong did do the Greatest Royal Rumble. Oney Lorcan hasn't done much since he's been in NXT, even though he is a very good wrestler, and same with Burch. I feel like this is a match where they're kind of they're looking for the next feud for Undisputed Era, so they don't know what to do for the time being. So they're just giving Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch and said, hey, we're going to make you into a tag team and feud, kind of like a match that we're going to be talking about that's going to be happening at Money in the Bank.
Yeah, so like Griff said, I think this is a pretty simple one. I think Undisputed Era wins pretty cleanly. It may last a while because, again, with NXT, usually it's clean finishes and longer matches, even if it's two guys like Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch who haven't really done much. I do like Oney Lorcan a lot. I believe he had a match at NXT TakeOver Toronto. I'm not too sure, but he's appeared here and there. And
sorry about that, guys. We record in a house, and
it's a bunch of dogs.
I own 2 dogs.
But going back to, I believe it's pretty simple. Like Griff said, it's just a filler, really, for the Undisputed Era to kind of feud with someone and have a match. So they win. I believe it's going to be a good match. These guys are going to have a pretty decent, and the crowd's going to be into it. I know that much. So yeah, Undisputed Era gets my pick too for that one.
Okay, that sounds good. And next up, we got another match where I feel like it's the same thing, but it's also someone has a chance to prove something. That is the NXT Championship match between the champion Aleister Black and Lars Sullivan. I say that because I feel like this is a very good opportunity for Lars Sullivan, who hasn't relatively done much since he's been up there, and he did prove himself well in the ladder match at New Orleans, by the way, which is probably up there my match of the year candidates. Yeah. But I feel like Aleister is going to win just because they want to give him a good title run. Yeah, I don't know who else they can have him face next, but maybe we'll get that into a bit. I can see it maybe being Velveteen, just because especially the two of them had a great feud at the end of 2017 and everything. But I see Aleister retaining, but honestly, I'm excited for this match because I want to see what Lars Sullivan can do in a singles high-pressure match at an event like TakeOver. I only say high-pressure because of the stature of the event. I know it's not WrestleMania, but at the same time, too, TakeOvers are where the new guys, they show their worth. They worked hard. They impressed the coaches down in Florida. So now they go out there and say, here's what I want to do, or here's what I want to do. Here's what I got to show you, and here's why I'm a valuable member and why I deserve a push in NXT.
Exactly. Like, it's not taking anything away from Lars Sullivan, but of course it's easy to have a 5-star match in a ladder match full of 5 other really talented guys, but it's a completely another ball game to have a one-on-one match. And with Lars Sullivan, like Griff said, what I was going into this match thinking is, okay, this is his chance to really showcase his talents. I mean, it doesn't have to be a 20-minute match. It can be 15 minutes. It can be maybe even 13, 14 minutes. The thing is, if he can just last in there and have a good back-and-forth match with Aleister Black, kind of like what Velveteen Dream did. He really proved his worth in that really good match with Aleister Black. And coming off of what Griff said about Velveteen Dream possibly facing Aleister Black after this, the thing with that match, actually, I do want to talk about that because the winner of that match, Ricochet versus Velveteen Dream, I believe will be probably the next opponent for Aleister Black. So that's a very important match on the card. But we will get to that. I say for this one, Aleister Black wins cleanly. Again, with these reigns, I mean, it just started at New Orleans. It's the first defense. I believe Aleister Black should have a really good long reign, possibly until the rest of the year. I mean, I'm a really big Aleister Black fan, and he was also very nice to meet in person. I will say that. So Aleister Black wins, and Lars Sullivan has a good showing, and hopefully it's a very good match. I'm almost certain it's going to be very good.
And also to add on to that, the only other way to get 5-star matches is if you're Dave Meltzer watching New Japan.
Actually 7 stars now.
Yeah. But next up, we're not going to be talking about Ricochet Velveteen Dream. We're going to be talking about another match, which I actually have a prediction to make for NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4.
Actually, do you want to talk about Ricochet versus Velveteen Dream instead of the Johnny Gargano versus Ciampa? I think we should leave that.
You know what? I think because I do think that's going to go on last, considering it's called a Chicago Street Fight. And basically, what I just want to give as my hot take right now, though, is I feel like they're going to do. It's going to be a triple threat at Brooklyn between Gargano, Ciampa, and Black. That's what I have a feeling that's going to be, because I feel like from there, Gargano and Ciampa, one of them can either go up to the main roster or both of them. But with that being said,
that would be a crazy main event.
Yeah, that'd be hype. But anyway, the next match we're going to be talking about is what I think is going to be the match of the night, has potential for match of the year candidate. That's Ricochet versus Velveteen Dream. Velveteen Dream, remember Patrick Clark from Tough Enough. Whoever thought that Patrick Clark would be one of the biggest stars in NXT has potential to be one of the biggest stars in WWE. His character is unlike anything we've ever seen. I know we've seen it with Rick Rude, Rick Martel, and other wrestlers I can't name on top of my head, but how often have you seen? I'm not going to get all like
it's similar, but it has its own it has its own appeal and originality to it, which is always good because again,
he's got his own flair and his own swagger.
It's kind of like what you see with just going on a side note over here. Just No Way Jose. It's exactly like Adam Rose. He's like Carlito, Black Carlito, Adam Rose.
I feel like he's a little bit more arrogant than Carlito, though. Just like with the way he dresses, how he's so flamboyant with his character. That's where I was getting the Rick Rude comparisons from.
No, I was talking about No Way Jose being like Black Carlito. I'm just saying like it's very similar to Adam Rose with Velveteen Dream. However, he is very. And the thing I really like about the character, and I know there's been some criticisms about the character because people and maybe this is not too prevalent in the mainstream wrestling society, but in terms of people, Velveteen Dream, people are kind of complaining about his character because if they feel like it's again the same whole New Day stuff where it's like emasculation of the male and stuff like that. I kind of get it, but you know what? If someone was going to do a gimmick like this, Patrick Clark is the guy to do it. So what I'm happy about is that Patrick Clark is pulling it off really well. Whether you like the great gimmick or not, you got to give him credit. And remember, this guy is only 22 years old. He's turning 23 sometime this year. He's very young. He has so much potential, and he pulled off a great match against Aleister Black. So, and I was telling Griff about this. As long as they just let these guys just go out and do it all, which we know in NXT, there's more freedom for moves, there's more freedoms for just having the potential to go out there and putting on the best match possible. If they have no handcuffs on, going back to what Ricochet did with the build up to the match, where he kind of like flipped over the ring and landed on his feet like a freaking monster. That was pretty. That was really blew my mind. So now going back to the as far as who I think is going to win, I mean, I feel like Ricochet needs to win more, so I'm going to go with Ricochet because Velveteen Dream can be fine without this win. Ricochet coming in, I think he needs it more, so I think I'm going to go with Ricochet. What about you, Griff?
I'm actually in the opposite scale, where I do think that Velveteen Dream's going to get the win, just because I feel like they are going to set up another match for Brooklyn, especially with the thing I have. Also, too, I just found out, I looked it up while you were talking, Patrick Clark's birthday is August 19th, the day after Brooklyn 4. SummerSlam. So,
right.
Yeah, but basically, no. The fact that this 22-year-old kid's coming to WWE, and also, like, he didn't even win Tough Enough. I don't even think he made it to, like, the top 4.
So,
like,
that's
top
crazy.
4 overall. Like, he got out early. WWE gave him a second chance. Yeah. He's blown the doors off. Like, ZZ had his chance, and he shit it away. Okay. Meanwhile, this guy...
We're not even going to talk about that.
Yeah, we're not even going to talk about it. It's just a point I made.
No, I'm just saying jokingly. ZZ was like a embarrassment.
I do remember, though, someone tweeting out that with Velveteen Dream, it was, y'all picked ZZ over him. That's the only thing I wanted to say, because Velveteen Dream, just the way he works, but also what I mean, too, he's not like an Adam Rose in that sense. I feel like, too, because he dresses, like, flamboyant, he has, like, all the, like, the flair, all the funky outfits to him, the fact that he's so, like, cocky, arrogant, but he's full of himself, like, he's got that factor to him that just makes you hate him. But at the same time, too, it's like the Revival in a way. I know they're two totally different polar opposites of the spectrum.
Right.
But it's just, I remember Alex Lorenzo actually said this to Revival. We met them last year. I remember I hated you guys at first, and I was the same way. But you're just so damn good, I cannot hate you. That's what he said. But that being, I just remember that came to me, and I wanted to say it.
I forget that you didn't like the Revival actually at first.
Yeah, but then once they you go out there and you just see them, you're like, God damn it, you guys are amazing. But anyway, I'm going with Velveteen Dream. Now we're moving on to the Chicago Street
Actually,
fight.
One thing I wanted to say was after
this message from Tashar.
Well, I mean, the one thing I wanted to point out is a good thing, I guess, about that is that we finally disagreed on a match, because so far I believe we picked the same winners except for this one. So yeah, let's see which one we pick for the final one: Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa in the Chicago Street Fight.
This is leading into my whole thing about the triple threat match between these two in Black at Takeover Brooklyn 4. Is because I do have Ciampa winning, because Gargano did get the win in New Orleans, and this also too, like how I was saying, it's a send-off. It basically sets it up. You know what? I beat you once, you beat me once. Next time we are fighting with Black for Ciampa's going to come out demanding it, and then Gargano's going to get thrown into the mix. You're going to have a triple threat match with those three guys. I feel like that's the best direction they can move in for Brooklyn, because last year's Brooklyn show was, because there's a weird pattern with the Brooklyn shows. One was fantastic, which we attended. 2 was okay. 2 was still good, but it wasn't as great as 1. And then 3 was amazing. I remember Drew McIntyre and Bobby Roode tore the house down last year.
Right.
And then now you got to start thinking about Brooklyn, because Brooklyn, I think, honestly, is their biggest show of the year, because, like, this year the New Orleans show was great, too. But, like, the crowd was all right. Like, the crowd was nothing special for
Brooklyn's
always a hot crowd for Takeover.
Brooklyn's always a hot crowd, so it's one of those. It's one of those things where wherever you prefer, right? If it's the atmosphere you prefer, then you're gonna probably prefer Brooklyn over New Orleans. As for the match, I mean, this is a tough one. I have to admit, because I feel like they do want to kind of, because some people were speculating that this might not be the end of the feud, that they might do a Hell in a Cell match after this one. Now, if that's the case, I could see them giving it to Ciampa, and Gargano gets the final win. But if this is the final match, I want to say Gargano, because usually they do go with, the happy ending story where the underdog Gargano, he gets his win, and everything's good after that. But coming off of New Orleans, I mean, I kind of see this going another way. I feel like Ciampa might actually get the win over here, because another reason is I feel like they're gonna really run with Ciampa as a big heel, and this is going to be one of those rare feuds where the heel comes out on top and just runs with it, and and the thing is with Gargano, I don't believe he's going to get lost in the shuffle per se, but I feel like they're going to give it to Ciampa, and I wouldn't rule out, just wanted to say about a possible swerve that I've heard people say Candice LeRae might get involved and possibly cost Gargano the match. I don't think that's necessary. I mean, I wouldn't be against it if that happens.
It's WWE. I can see something like that happening, to be brutally honest with you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's WWE, but it's also NXT WWE, right? You have to. It's a different minds in work over here, and I believe. I believe Shawn Michaels is also a producer down there. Yeah, he is. So I mean, that's why these matches are so great too, right? But I'm going to go with Ciampa. I just don't see Ciampa losing again after New Orleans. So, sorry, one sec. Just don't do that. So I'm picking Ciampa to win this one. I just don't see him losing after New Orleans. And we'll see what happens from there. Hopefully maybe another triple threat at Brooklyn, like Griff mentioned. That would be a crazy match.
Okay, guys, with that being said and done, we are moving on to the main event of the weekend. We are moving on to Money in the Bank. Off the bat, we're going to be talking about the matches, starting with the pre-show, which is the Bludgeon Brothers taking on the Club. I'm going to go simply put the Bludgeon Brothers because, honestly, it's the kickoff show. I don't think I'm going to watch. Who watches the kickoff show? It's Father's Day. I'll probably still be having dinner with my family.
I actually do, but yeah. I'm a loser, I guess.
Well, like, you know what I mean, though. Like, this is why I'd love to tend to Money in the Bank. I just don't know why they have to do it every Father's Day. Do it the week before or do it the week after. Like, I understand there's been a gap in between the pay-per-views, but if you do it 5 weeks, 5 weeks, 5 weeks, 35 days in between pay-per-views, it's enough time for build-up. It's enough time for that. But if I'm free, I'll watch it. If I'm not free, well, my bad. If I'm free, I'll watch it. But if I'm not free, not going to go out of my way to watch it.
To be honest, until you mentioned it, I didn't even know Sunday was Father's Day.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to have forgotten about that. Go wish your father a happy Father's Day if you're listening to this, and it's Sunday, June 17th.
Hashtag end Father's Day.
So who's your winner for Bludgeon Brothers versus the Club?
Yeah, straight up Bludgeon Brothers, nothing to talk about here. The Club are basically a team just to be fed to them. I would like this to just, and I think it's going to be just a very short match. Club are going to get some offense in, but it's going to be 5 minutes. Bludgeon Brothers pick up the win and then move on to some other team. And yeah, I mean, I don't. People are saying that Club should win. I don't believe they deserve it, honestly. And also, if they are going to do it, they have like no build up for it. So wouldn't you want them to actually have some build up before they win it? So yeah, Bludgeon Brothers straight up.
Now, the next match we're going to be talking about is Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass. Another match where I'm like, why are you doing this again? Daniel Bryan should be in the Money in the Bank ladder match, but it's none of my business, really. I'm not creative. I'm going to go Daniel Bryan. If we're not talking about a lot of these matches, it's because either the build-up's been whatever, or it's just... yeah. But anyway, I'm just going to go Daniel Bryan over Big Cass because, honestly, they do not need to make this a trilogy bout. Get Daniel Bryan something new, something fresh. He's going to come in later in one of the other matches. But anyway, I'm going with the yes man. I'm going with Daniel Bryan.
All right. So I agree that they don't need to make this a trilogy bout, a feud with 3 matches or whatever. But I will, for that reason, actually I think Big Cass is going to get the win because here's what I'm thinking. I feel like they're going to give it to Big Cass because, again, he really needs it. And I know that WWE probably feels that he really needs to win. And Daniel Bryan will be fine with the loss. It's not going to affect him. And Big Cass moves on to something else, and Daniel Bryan moves on to something else. If something happens later on in the show, which we're going to talk about, Daniel Bryan may have a storyline coming off of Money in the Bank. So I would say Big Cass gets it. It's going to be a short match, probably. Hopefully he's better than Backlash, but Big Cass gets the win, and they move on in different directions, and hopefully this feud is just over.
Less than 10 minutes, for sure. Anyway, next up we're talking about a match that featured probably one of the worst, one of them not worst, but one of the most dumbest build-ups in history. With Bobby Lashley and Sami Zayn, there was a stupid obstacle course Monday night, and then there was that Bobby Lashley sisters segment from a few weeks ago. Honestly, I don't know what they're doing with either of these guys. I feel like they're getting like they could get lost in the shuffle, which unfortunately sucks because both guys are good workers.
Yeah.
But at the same time, too, because of everything, all the crap that's gone on, I can see Sami Zayn getting a win. Honestly,
actually,
I did pick Bobby Lashley, but you know what? I'm going to change it to Sami Zayn. Sorry, my mic fell. I basically, I can see it being Sami Zayn. Why? Because WWE does that, where they'll make someone look really bad and end up losing on a pay-per-view. And then they're going to have a match at Extreme Rules where Bobby Lashley's going to beat the holy shit out of Sami Zayn.
Yeah, you see, like that. What Griff said there is a very WWE thing to do, to give Sami Zayn a win and make Bobby Lashley look like a complete fool. Because that's what's going to happen. If Sami Zayn gets this win, which I'm hoping he doesn't, I don't think he will. So I'm going to go with Bobby Lashley because, like it's been talked about, everyone said it, even his biggest fans. Bobby Lashley has no momentum. He's not been doing anything. He hasn't done anything special. He needs to get a new finisher or go back to his rolling spear. But I don't believe they're going to let him do that because it's going to make Reigns' spear not look that good. But going back to the match, the build-up was pretty terrible. I actually enjoyed the obstacle course. I will say that. I don't know why, but I feel like, okay, after all the stuff they've done...
He enjoys big black men working out.
I don't know about I don't know about that. Don't swing that way. But the reason I liked it is because coming off of the whole sister segment, coming off of that stupid segment where Sami Zayn was in the crowd and Lashley's just standing in the ring looking like an idiot, I felt like Bobby Lashley doing the obstacle course actually made him look like look like a beast. So it actually helped his credibility. It actually played to his strengths, which is his physical prowess, I guess, right? But they didn't have him. Having him talk about his sister and all that stuff, that's his weaknesses, right? So that's what they need to stop doing. I feel like this should just be a 3-minute match. Literally, I'm hoping it's one of those Undertaker. It's like Undertaker versus John Cena at WrestleMania, where Bobby Lashley just destroys Sami Zayn and moves on. As much as I love Sami Zayn, I like him a lot more than Bobby Lashley. I feel like that's what makes more sense than anything. Bobby Lashley should have no issue. It wouldn't surprise me if it was a back and forth match, but my prediction is Bobby Lashley destroys Sami Zayn in about 4 minutes.
Next up's match you're gonna love to talk about. We got the big dog.
Oh my God.
Roman Reigns taking on the modern day Maharaja Jinder Mahal. I was trying to do my best JBL there, by the way. But this match...
Should we have a bet, by the way, just on the side? Should we have a bet if this match closes the show?
If this match closes the show, I'm gonna be... It's a gimmick pay-per-view. Why would Money in the Bank... If the men's Money in the Bank ladder match does not close the show, I am going to be so furious. It's nothing against the women. It's just like the Elimination Chamber match, for example. You had the women open, you had the men close. That's what I believe. We're going to get into the Money in the Bank ladder matches. We're saving those for last. But I believe, like any gimmick pay-per-view, a gimmick match will close. Like Hell in a Cell. A Hell in a Cell match will close. TLC. A TLC match will close. The Royal Rumble, in only, I think, one, maybe a few other cases where a Royal Rumble match did not close, the last one being 2013. Elimination Chamber. An Elimination Chamber match usually, guess what? Closes the show.
Well, I believe Money in the Bank 2016 did not close with the Money in the Bank ladder match.
Yeah, that's right. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins.
Yeah, which was obviously a good thing to do because...
That was a title match and they had a cash-in involved.
Yeah, so that made sense.
I was okay with it, to be honest.
That made sense. But, yeah, Roman Reigns versus Jinder Mahal. Okay, I will just say if this match closes the show, they are fucking crazy because they're going to get a backlash type situation where people are going to be walking out of the arena. Because if I was there, even though I never liked doing it, I would walk out of the arena just to make a statement if I was there. So now, as far as the match goes, I guess, they could go with Jinder Mahal winning. WWE sometimes does like to throw a bone at the, I guess you could call them, smart fans. So in being in Chicago, I believe they might just give it to Jinder to get the fans a bit of a good moment. They can boo and be happy that Reigns lost. But kind of like with Cena, it's hard to bet against Reigns. I think they're just going to give it to Reigns. I think it's just something that's a time filler for Reigns. I know they're talking about an Extreme Rules match between the two of them before Roman eventually gets to Brock. But again, I feel like with Roman Reigns, he's just going to beat Jinder Mahal at Money in the Bank. He's going to beat Jinder Mahal at Extreme Rules, and then they're going to have him face Brock Lesnar because I don't see them having Reigns lose to someone like Jinder Mahal if he's going down to face Lesnar again.
I'm on the opposite spectrum with you on that one. I'm going to have Jinder winning clean like he did against Randy Orton all those times, where there's one of the same brothers, because the other one's still out with a torn ACL, getting involved. I only say that prediction because if they're going to do an Extreme Rules match on Extreme Rules or any kind of stipulation match, I feel like you're going to have Roman win that. So Roman then, you're not going to have him win 2 in a row because then you look too strong. You want Roman to look like he accomplished something going into this big fight at the biggest event of the summer with Brock. Especially if Brock's not there. That's a story for another day.
Well, the thing is with this match...
Cut me off.
No, well, I mean, I just want to say, like, I understand where people are coming from. Like, it's one of those matches where it could actually go either way. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Jinder Mahal wins. I just don't see them. I mean, if Jinder Mahal does win, though, if I remember correctly, you said clean win. I mean, you don't think the Singh brothers are going to...
No bullshit, no nothing. I think they'll give Jinder this win to make him look strong, because I feel like Jinder's one of those guys where eventually I think he can move on to compete for another, not exactly the world. I don't think he's going to go for the Universal or World title anytime soon. I feel like, though, he could be sticking in that mid-card range, which for him, you know what, good for him. But at the same time, too, a victory over Roman Reigns, too, think about the promos he can do, come out cutting. I defeated the big dog at Money in the Bank. Yeah. I conquered you, Roman. Like, I'm just trying to do my best deep voice Jinder, because Jinder does not have the Punjabi accent.
Just do
he sounds very whitewashed, but you know what? And also the
just do a very raspy voice and...
I beat you, Roman Reigns, at Money in the Bank. Now I'm going to beat you again at Extreme Rules in an Extreme Rules match.
Randy Orton, I am not afraid of you, Shinsuke Nakamura. Yeah, this guy just pisses me off. I mean, Jinder Mahal should just... Honestly, I'm not...
You left your seat at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome when he won the United States Championship.
Well, I mean, I needed to go take a piss anyway. But so I was like, okay, if he's gonna win, okay, his celebration can be my piss break. But in an ideal world, Roman Reigns would just go out and beat him in like 30 seconds. But I think it's gonna be a good back and forth match, and Roman Reigns is gonna pick up the win.
Okay, so Roman Reigns and Jinder, we both have our winners. Now we're moving on to the Intercontinental Championship match between Seth Rollins and Elias. This match is one of the very underrated, not underrated, but like has the potential to be dark horse match of the night candidate, in my opinion. Because you have the guys like Elias, who's a huge star, who could potentially come out and win this thing. And honestly, that's where I'm going with this. I'm picking Elias off the bat. Because as much as Seth Rollins is a great wrestler and a great competitor, you know what? He's one of those guys, doesn't always need a title on him to make him credible.
Exactly. He'll be over no matter what. However, I think I'm going to go with Seth Rollins, only because... Well, there's a couple reasons, but the main reason is because the whole storyline that they've been doing so far with him is that, you know, of course, they can always change last minute, but the storyline is basically, hey, I'm not Brock Lesnar. I'm a fighting champion. I'm going to come out here and defend my title every week, every month, every pay-per-view, right? Going back to the title reigns being a little bit short, like, if he loses tonight, or on Sunday, I should say.
Or if he already won or lost, depending on when you're listening to this.
Yeah, but I feel like Seth Rollins, like, he has such a good title reign going on right now. It would be a waste to just end it this early. I feel like he should probably hold it until SummerSlam if he's not going to be facing Brock Lesnar for the title. So I'm going to say Seth Rollins retains. Elias can eventually beat him. I feel like Elias, because he's a heel, he can take this one loss. Seth Rollins comes out the next night. Elias comes back and attacks him again. They can drag this out a little bit. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Seth Rollins. And like Griff was saying, for all the people that were talking about not being interested in this pay-per-view at all, this is the one match that they're saying they're all looking forward to. I haven't heard a single complaint about this match. So, Seth Rollins, it is my guy going over. I'm going to go with that one.
And you know how I was saying earlier about Jinder with the mid-card title? Because if Jinder beats Roman and then Elias will lose to Seth, I can see Jinder coming out and going, Seth Rollins, I want you and the Intercontinental Championship. I can just see it happening, that's all.
Yeah, like with the Rollins retaining, I feel like they could do much more than what they've done with his title reign so far. So that's why I'm going to go with Rollins.
Even though the best match at Backlash. But anyway, with that said, we're moving on to Carmella versus Asuka. Basically, I say that because you know me, I'm a huge Carmella mark. But in the sense to this match, they're saying there's rumors of James Ellsworth coming back and potentially...
I did hear about that, yeah.
Yeah. him apparently supposed to be booked on an indie date Sunday that got canceled. So
Well, apparently he's going to be in China, isn't he?
I heard China. I heard that. I don't know where he's supposed to be. It has the potential to happen. I feel like if he does come out, it's going to be a DQ. But you know what? I feel like this is Carmella's time to basically show everyone and shut a lot of people up as to, is she credible? Is she good? Because you know why? I think she's winning clean on Sunday. I think, and it's going to be similar to Charlotte Flair, where Charlotte beat Asuka. Because you know why? Asuka's another one of those people. She does not need a title immediately. Even though you won the Royal Rumble, even though you're undefeated, she'll be fine without the title. I feel like if you give Asuka the title, SmackDown's women's heel division, who are you going to give her besides Carmella? The Iconics? They're not ready for a title run yet.
Well,
Absolution, no.
They could do
unless you do
Asuka versus Naomi, because I know they like to push Naomi.
Oh, good Lord, I don't.
I mean, whether we like it or not. I mean, I do like Naomi, but I feel, like that. She's always towards the top when they're in terms of being protected and stuff like that. So I mean, if Asuka does win, I could see them having a face versus face type, with Charlotte and Asuka. With this match, though, like you said, I mean, she doesn't need the title, but I feel like it's one of those cases where it's kind of like it's not like she's a Seth Rollins, right? It's not like she's already established to the point where she doesn't need a title. With Charlotte, yeah, she doesn't need a title, even though she is champion most of the time that she's wrestling. With Asuka, I feel like she lost a lot of momentum coming off of WrestleMania and that loss, and she's kind of just been going here and there on the roster ever since. Now this is her time where they can actually pull the trigger and finally do what they should have done at WrestleMania. I personally think so, and have Asuka win. Now, besides what I want, do I think she's actually going to win? I mean, this is where one match on the card, I will be honest, I am very not sure about what's going on, because like Griff said, the whole China thing sounds like it's a rib, like it's probably a joke, because why would James Ellsworth of all people be in China for a match, right?
Well, Big Bird went to China once, anyone can go to China, clearly.
Yeah, so if they do go ahead with that James Ellsworth storyline, I did not like it, but it would make sense. He did help her win the briefcase. It would make sense. It would be consistent in the sense that he comes back now to help her retain the title. So, but you know what? I'm gonna go with Carmella retaining.
You were about to say Asuka there, weren't you?
I was almost, but here's why I'm gonna go with Asuka with again. I'm gonna go with Carmella retaining via DQ. Whether or not Ellsworth gets involved is a different story, but via DQ, because Asuka made Carmella tap on the Go Home show, which was a carbon copy of what happened with Ronda and Nia, but we'll get to that. So, yeah, Carmella retains via DQ, and then Asuka can probably they're going to drag this out, and Asuka's probably going to win at the next pay-per-view or something like that.
And with that being said, we're moving on to Nia Jax versus Ronda Rousey. A match I feel like the only reason they're giving Ronda is because they're not going to put her in a ladder match, because she's obviously a little too green still in the industry, even though she did a great match at Mania. But now is the chance where we're going to be able to see her, how she is as a singles competitor. But at the same time, too, the storylines made no sense, because it's like Nia went from being bullied by Alexa Bliss to being a bully.
Not only that, but she was playing as an ambassador for anti-bullying for a long time. After winning the title, she was basically being this spokesperson for anti-bullying and everything. And to be honest, I haven't watched the recent Raws, but from what I heard, she's been acting very heelish. So
she's been acting like the same dominant, I was going to say Asuka, Nia Jax that we saw when she first came up to the main roster back in mid to late 2016. But with this too, I understand giving Nia the title and everything, but at the same time too, I'm going to get my prediction out of the way, because I do not want to keep you guys around for too long, even though I love talking. I'm going to say that Ronda wins, but by DQ, so Nia's still a champion, because I feel like they're going to have another match at Extreme Rules and then do something different with the two of them at SummerSlam. I feel like they're not going to have a match at SummerSlam. I feel like it's still not Ronda's time to be a champion, and also, too, it's not like Brock where it's like, oh my god, she's here, we have to give her the title. No, Ronda Rousey's here full time. You hear that, Brock, if you ever happen to go on YouTube?
Yeah.
I don't know if they get YouTube in bumfuck Saskatchewan, but
even if they do, Brock wouldn't want it.
Yeah,
he's the kind of guy who would rather farm.
Yeah, pretty much. But I can feel like Ronda, I feel like too, there's going to be something that will cost her. I feel like it'll be an interference, or simple as this, Nia is locked in the armbar. Ronda Rousey's basically got her. She gets to the rope. Nia's holding on for dear life. 5 count. And then after the 5 count, Nia basically just obliterates Ronda so they can still make Nia look strong. And at the same time, too, it's like, oh my god, Ronda, for the first time in her career, even though she's only been with the company for 4.5 months, she looks vulnerable.
So your official prediction is Nia wins by DQ.
No, Ronda wins by DQ. Nia remains. No, actually, no. Ronda would get DQ'd out in my scenario. Ronda gets DQ'd out, so Nia wins by DQ and still remains.
Right. Okay, so now here's my question to you, and I know there's a lot of matches to go through, but this is no holds barred. You know, we do got to address a couple very important points about this match, because this match is one of those matches that you have to talk about certain things that are just out there, you know what I mean? So I wanted to ask you about the possible situation where if Natalya wins the Money in the Bank, do you think that's a possibility that Natalya wins Money in the Bank and then cashes in on this match and basically screws over Ronda, kind of like Seth Rollins did to Reigns, and they built up a storyline from there, or no?
I can, but I feel like WWE, like, they make it too predictable. Like, for example, with all their cash-ins,
yeah,
you had no idea you had no idea that was coming. Like, at Carmella's, you could kind of tell, but, like, for example, Baron Corbin's was just stupid. I don't want to talk about that one. Like, Ambrose, you didn't see that one coming immediately. Sheamus, you didn't see it coming immediately. Like, Seth Rollins was...
Sheamus, I mean, I felt like that was a little bit predictable, but yeah, I mean, it's like it's never set in stone, really.
Yeah. I feel like they could pull the trigger on that, but at the same time, too, with the women's division, I feel like there's other women in there who could use Money in the Bank over Natalya. I feel like, even though I think she's the betting odds favorite, but
Is
anyway,
she?
yeah.
Okay.
But basically, who do you have winning this match?
So, I'm going to go maybe a bold prediction over here. Fuck it. I'm going to say Ronda Rousey just taps out Nia and wins it. And here's why. Ronda Rousey got announced for the Hall of Fame, for the UFC Hall of Fame on July 15th, I believe it is.
July 5th, and I forgot about that one, actually.
Yeah. So, you just know Vince is salivating at the fact that he can have Ronda Rousey be there holding his championship with his company's logo on it. So, I know, again, going back to Carmella versus Asuka, they had the same build-up on the Go Home show. They just gave that away on TV, which I hate. This whole mystery that, okay, can Ronda Rousey get Nia Jax in the armbar? And they just give it away on TV. Kind of like, how they just announce these random things on Twitter instead of announcing them on TV and having proper, cliffhangers. But, yeah, Ronda Rousey, I believe it's probably going to be a little bit back and forth. And then Ronda Rousey's probably just gonna. I'm gonna predict that she wins. She goes to the UFC Hall of Fame with the title. And one thing I will say though that is kind of unfair to Ronda is that this is her first chance to prove herself as a singles wrestler. But that's kind of hard to do when you're also with someone like Nia Jax. Nothing against Nia Jax, but it's a very different style. If she was in there with someone like Becky Lynch, I feel like it would be much easier for her to really prove herself. So, credit to Ronda. I feel like people are being a little bit too hard on her. I would like, in a perfect world, for Natalya to actually win the Money in the Bank and cash in, because that's such a interesting storyline they can easily do. It's right there. I know it's predictable. It's one of those predictable storylines, though, that makes sense to do. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think just going to give it to Ronda. So, with that being said, we can... move on to the WWE Championship match. Last ball standing or last man standing?
I don't know. I just want this feud was you were so looking forward to it, but you just dragged it on and on and on. The only good match they had was on a SmackDown, for Christ's sakes. It's AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura. I do not mean to rip on the two of them. I love the both of them. They're great workers. I'm big fans of both guys. But you know what? This feud needs to end. What should have happened at Mania is going to happen at this show. Shinsuke Nakamura is going to win. Because who else is there for AJ to face? Well, this is where I was talking about Daniel Bryan.
What about Samoa Joe? That's what they have been sort of...
Touché, but I would love to see AJ versus Shinsuke. So I'm going to go with Shinsuke to win. I think that they're going to have a scenario. A Rochambeau game's going to break out, but at the same time, too, you just know that these are two guys who are like they have great matches. It's just they've been booked terribly. That's the only thing. So
only WWE could take a feud with two legendary wrestlers like this and just make you not be interested in it. I mean, I'm still interested, but I don't blame people for not being interested in this at all. So, but yeah. So is that all you have to say about Shinsuke and AJ?
Pretty much. Like I feel like the match is going to be the same thing where every guy gets their moves in, and then it's just going to be not AJ. Actually, let's say this like this: AJ gets hit with a Kinshasa on the outside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and new. And Greg Hamilton with that booming voice just announces Shinsuke Nakamura as new champion. But at the same time, too, like they fucked over Shinsuke with Jinder. They're fucking him over right now with AJ.
Yeah.
Give the man his title because he can go on a run, face Daniel Bryan, we'll probably have Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam, but then if they do the Miz angle, who knows? But anyway, I'm gonna go with Shinsuke, but I can see them giving AJ the win.
Yeah. So originally, actually, I was gonna say AJ because usually when WWE does drag out these feuds to a 3 match feud or a 4 match feud or a 5 match feud, which is what this is, basically their 5th bout. Usually they just go with the champion retaining. I don't know about usually, actually, I shouldn't say that, but in certain scenarios that's how it pans out. So originally I was gonna drinking a little bit over here, but originally I was gonna say AJ. However, I think they're gonna give it to Nakamura because I'm thinking about it, and where does Nakamura go from here if he doesn't win? Now, I know WWE usually doesn't even think about all that stuff, and they just fuck it up like that anyway. And I could totally see them having AJ Styles retain, and Nakamura literally just has some useless feud with someone. But he just turned heel. He has some new momentum again, even though the booking has been very poor. So I believe they're going to give it to Shinsuke Nakamura. I think they're going to give the Chicago crowd also that feel-good moment. It's going to be divided half and half, of course, like it's always been. Half the crowd's going to cheer for Styles, half the crowd's going to cheer for Nakamura. But I say they give it to Nakamura, and they might possibly do Nakamura versus Daniel Bryan. I could see that as a possibility. And AJ Styles can move on, and he can feud with someone like Samoa Joe. I mean, if Nakamura does win, though, I know that they're going to probably have one more match, and I think it makes sense. I think Nakamura should win because now that they're having a last man standing match at Money in the Bank, it would make sense to have Nakamura win, and then AJ gets his rematch at Extreme Rules in some sort of another gimmick match, which is literally the final match, and the feud is done completely. So I'm going to go with Shinsuke winning the title.
Very good, very good. Sorry, guys, if you're hearing any noise. I was just trying to get the dogs to go out back, being a responsible dog owner that I am. Anyway, guys, it's time for the main events. It's time for the Money in the Bank ladder matches. First up, the women. You have Ember Moon, Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, Sasha Banks, Natalya, Lana, and Naomi. Basically, there's a plethora of women that could win this match. I see outcomes for everyone except for Lana, Naomi winning, and Miss I Can't Defend My Title won't win either.
Who was that?
Take a wild
Banks.
guess. Miss I Can't Defend the Title to save my life on the main roster. But I'm gonna pick Natalya to win because this in scenario you said, because I can easily see them doing that. But two women I'm gonna pick as dark horse candidates: Ember Moon and Becky Lynch. Mm-hmm. Becky Lynch is a woman who never has heat on her. She's always cheered. People love Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch is someone who, honestly, she had the title back in 2016, the first ever SmackDown Live Women's Champ. But at the same time, too, what has she done since? 2017, she was quiet.
Exactly.
2018, she hasn't done much. Something like this can really pick her career back up.
Right, and so if I wanted to ask you, if you do think Natalya is going to win, I guess that's your official prediction, right? Then are you changing your prediction for Nia Jax with Ronda Rousey?
I still think it's going to happen, but I can just see them doing it. I can see WWE, or even I don't know, at Raw, Ronda wins the title, Nia comes out, beats her up, Natalya comes out,
right,
and then says "Oh, friend, hey, you won your title, I won the briefcase," and it's that that awkward friction.
Yeah, because even if Nia, let's say, does retain in the way that Griff said, I mean, they could still give it to Natalya. It's not that they have to have Ronda win if Natalya's winning Money in the Bank, but I think I will agree with Griff, and I think I'm going to go with Natalya winning. Regardless of whether or not they actually have her cash in on Ronda on the same night, I think Natalya will win, because even if they don't have her cash in on the same night, like Griff said, they can actually have a storyline with it, because my pick is Ronda Rousey to win. I know that they want her to show up at the UFC Hall of Fame with the title. So this is something they can build towards. They can have them be best friends on TV, but at the same time, slowly Ronda will start acknowledging that, okay, Natalya has the Money in the Bank, and Natalya can do that awkward, friendship with her where it's like, yeah, don't worry, I'm not going to cash in on you, and so on and so forth, or I'm going to announce my match, but of course she doesn't, and she kind of cheaply cashes in. I will, for the Dark Horse candidate, I believe, I'm just going to pick one. I'm going to pick Becky Lynch, only because it's something I want. I know that doesn't mean that she's going to win, but Becky Lynch, like Griff said, is one of those women that is so popular all the time, and she never really gets her moment all the time, right? Every time you think she's going to win something, she doesn't. So hopefully this time it does happen. I still think Natalya's going to win, but I would, if I had my way, it would be Becky Lynch. So that's my Dark Horse candidate for the women.
Okay, and moving on to the men's portion of Money in the Bank, we've got Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, The Miz, Rusev, Bobby Roode, Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, and The New Day, which I think will be represented by Big E. What about you? With just The New Day represented quickly.
Someone said that they could see all three guys entering the match.
WWE could do that, but that would be so stupid.
You see, it wouldn't be actually the first, though, because WrestleMania 26 had a 10-man ladder match for the Money in the Bank. So if they did enter, it would not be unprecedented.
I'd be happy to see that just for the Kofi ladder spots. But I do have two men who I could see winning this match. Before I go with that, there's two guys who I just don't think they will win. One's Braun Strowman. Why? Because does a guy like Braun really need Money in the Bank? Not really.
Exactly. He doesn't really need it. I don't think he should have actually been in the match, to be honest. Because
it's just to be that big presence there, like with Big Show, and how he breaks the little ladder, brings out the big ladder.
Right. Well, the thing is, because I don't feel like he will win, so my frustration with that was that why put him in the match if you know he's not going to win? Because Braun Strowman is one of your hottest acts that you want to protect, right? So I feel like he should have probably been in Bobby Lashley's position or something, or Sami Zayn's position, where they could have done Braun Strowman versus Bobby Lashley. Why not do that? And then put Sami Zayn in the ladder match. So, but either way, who do you think is going to win for this one?
Before I get to that, another guy who I don't see winning is Finn Balor, and I know some Finn Balor fans were pissed off, being like, "Oh, he's not on the Backlash card." Nah. It's to me the same thing at Money in the Bank. I just wanted to get it out there quickly. But I do think
is that you taking a shot at someone?
No, it's not. The Miz. I'm going Miz. I know you're gonna hate it. I know a lot of people are gonna hate it, but you know what? Money in the Bank is better on a heel than a face.
It is, yeah.
That's all I gotta say. It's better on a heel than a face. And my dark horse candidate, it's Big E. I think Big E, because I feel like, you know what, he's that big guy. WWE would push him. He would have great as a heel. All that stuff. And you know what? 3 ain't enough. He needs 5. Bring that back. Get rid of the pancakes.
Right. So, yeah, building off of what I actually said about the rumor that all 3 might actually enter the match, the reason, I mean, if that does happen, I think the good thing that they could do with that is that this could be the breakup of the New Day. They're so stale. Everyone's had enough of the act. And Big E comes out on top if all 3 enter, because eventually they will have to fight each other in the match. I hope they do an angle like that where all three of them, while everyone else is laying outside, they just have to go at it, and then Biggie just, I guess you could say, betrays the other two guys and wins the match. Or even if they don't, even if he doesn't win the match, they can at least set up an angle for a future breakup within the New Day. Did you want to say something, Griff?
But the other thing I could see happening is, Biggie win, and then the New Day's like, hey, we all win. We all won. We all did great. But you know what Big Ego's like? His ego just keeps growing bigger and bigger, and then Xavier, I see being like, Big E, what's wrong with you, man? And then Big E just beats the shit out of them, breaking up the New. Like, you keep Kofi and Xavier together because you have nothing else for them. Big E goes back on his own, being that. Remember when he debuted and he just beat the shit out of John Cena?
Yeah,
that Big E. That's the Big E I want to see. But it was just something I could be seeing happen. But anyway, did you already pick a winner for Money in the Bank? Or?
No. So
who's your winner?
Typically, like you said, I do like to pick heels because it makes more sense for heels to win Money in the Bank because of the type of stipulation that it is. So very rarely do I want to pick a face. However, I think with this one, I'm gonna go with Samoa Joe winning. And here's why: because I don't see Braun Strowman winning. He doesn't need it. Finn Balor, I mean, as much as it makes sense for him to win, he wants to earn his rematch, and he could just come out the next night and just announce, hey, I'm going to challenge Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam for the title. So if a face does win it, I do see that happening. But I don't believe... I think we all know Roman Reigns is going to be Brock Lesnar's opponent at SummerSlam. So Finn Balor, I don't see winning. Rusev, I like him, but I don't see winning. Bobby Roode has nothing going on for him right now. Kevin Owens, no. And the New Day, I feel like they're just going to possibly set up a future breakup for them, so I don't think any of them are going to be winning. So really, all I can see making sense is Samoa Joe. I know we talked about The Miz, and he's going to be my dark horse candidate to win, so my secondary pick, because I feel like Samoa Joe really needs this moment. Every time he's come out there and he's ran his mouth in his promos, which he does a good job of doing. He's talked all his big game, but he never really wins big matches. I don't see him... I can't remember the last time he actually won a big match on the main roster to back up his words. So I think they're going to give it to him. I was telling Griff earlier about this. The Miz is always going to have a good position no matter what, even if he loses. He's still going to be in the mid-card with the show coming up. I think he might have a feud with New Day after Money in the Bank, if anything. So I think they're going to give it to Samoa Joe, and it's going to somehow, based off of who wins against in the Styles and Nakamura match, I think they're going to give it to Samoa Joe. And, again, he can hold it until next year. A lot of things can change. So Samoa Joe is my pick to win, and dark horse is The Miz.
Well, hope you guys enjoyed every single bit of wrestling we talked about, because we enjoyed talking about both shows with you. Quick little update for the channel. Please, if you are subscribed, click on the little notifications bell so you get all the notifications when either a podcast or a video goes up. Go back and watch my Fanatics Washington Capitals Stanley Cup unboxing, and because I did have a box and there was a bag too, go back and watch those. And at the same time too, watch Do Indian, wrap it up, and I'll wrap it up, and we're going to get out of here.
Yeah, I know this was a great episode today for us. Tonight, I know it was a little bit rushed. We do apologize for that. I would like to talk a little bit more about these matches, but we are on a bit of a tight schedule tonight. However, I am looking forward to both these shows at the same time, Money in the Bank and actually Takeover. Hope you guys enjoy the shows. For everyone that's in Chicago, enjoy yourselves. Have a great weekend. And we will review the shows after they're done on Sunday. So maybe we'll do a live video. I don't know. We might do something like that after the show is over. Or
if not, we'll be back next week. Same time, same place, same company. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Another podcast in the books, episode 2. We're working on everything. We're just getting better from here. Have a great night, guys. And like you said, we are on a tight schedule because we have places to go and people to see. Thank you, guys. Take care, and we'll see you later.